It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Thank you, ACDC. It is Monday. It is September the 11th, and we are happy to have you with us for the next 4 hours. We will discuss the Minnesota Vikings and a little bit of the rest of the NFL. We'll get there. But we're going to ease into it, for God's sakes. Can we just ease into it? Is the party already over? That's to be discussed later.
They're in third place in the North.
See, well, hey, it could be worse. I want to start with something a little more positive. In fact, a whole lot more positive. And that's the fact that on Saturday morning, I woke up and drove to Wisconsin, and I watched Candace Wheeler just kick the living ass out of some Black Sabbath music.
I love the duality of that performance. It was by the way, the band sounds fantastic, Candace, and you just really nailed it up there. And then between the Sabbath tunes, you know, there we come rolling out a Sweet Leaf, just heavy, like, yeah. I'm like, where's my bong at? And as soon as it's over, Candace's like, okay, you guys, that was fun. You bet. So this is nice. And I'm like, I love this, what's happening.
It was a rich duality of of the girl you just want to, put in bubble wrap, and then the girl that scares the living crap out of you.
I know.
Candace, Candace's band Sabotage, in case anyone's going, what the hell are they talking about? You guys played over at Chili Feed in Ellsworth on Saturday, and Zepp and I tagged along, and I just seriously have to say, fantastic work. And not just you, the whole band, as I've said. What a great band you guys have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was really fun. I've been going to the Chili Feed for a few years now, and I always wanted to play there. And it's like I do get kind of Minnesotan on the stage, like really Minnesota. But I also know a lot of those people that were there, so it's like it was very comfortable. So I was able to be silly. And
it was very comfortable for me. My first time at the Chili Feed. Everybody that I hung out with was fantastic, especially the two guys who came up to Zepp and said, "You lost a lot of weight. You used to be fat."
Yeah, I was like,
"What was that all about?" That's not true.
I mean, I was packing on a few pounds.
I've seen old photos of you, though. I never saw
keeping it real.
You never had a big boiler on the front end, did you?
It was all that chili.
Right. I mean, I do have a couple of pairs of pants that might have an extra, I need a belt for back in the day. But it's like,
funny.
oh, yeah. He goes, yeah, weren't you huge before? And I'm like, I mean, you mean, are you thinking about my personality, my charisma?
Could have been.
Anyway, but I just appreciated the attention, ultimately.
It was a good time had by all. I was very happy to arrive and see that there was a semi of beer.
Yeah, a semi.
Literally, the tap was a semi trailer of taps.
That's the trademark of the Chili Feed. Every year they pull that bad boy out of there.
Pretty great.
That semi leaves as a light load when it rolls out of there.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of kegs back there jangling around, but. Another good time. I did not make it. You remember we came back in the afternoon. I was going to make it back out for the big pork chop festivities, and Chain Lightning was out there after Greg Phillips passing, and so I was excited about that. And then I came back to town, and it was raining out. We're going to take the motorcycles out.
We got killed on the way home in that rain.
Right. And then it was drifting over to Wisconsin, so we decided to ditch the bikes, have a few beers in the garage.
It'll happen.
And wait for the ride that never showed. So I never made it back out there, but that would have been a good time. But while we were out there yesterday afternoon, or Saturday afternoon, good times.
Very good times. Mark and Dwight.
Yeah.
Great guys. Thank you both for indulging me with all of my asinine questions about riding. And then I all but had the tattoo that said, I'm in next year. So I talked myself right into a bike and some lessons and a new license and all kinds of things. I'm a man of the moment, and boy, the moment got a hold of me. It was a pretty exciting day.
That'll happen out of the Chili Feed. We'll have to get you to Pork Chop next year. And
did you see those pictures?
Yeah,
I posted some pictures. The whole stage was on fire.
Yeah, they do it right out there. They bring it down, and then it's of course the St. Croix Valley Riders, scvr.org for bikers' rights. I think we might. What I did yesterday after a shot and a couple of beers was we're going to have you guys on the air talking about bikers' rights, and I'm going to hold myself to that. So
nice.
What's something coming up?
Before we break down football, I would like to mention at 9 o'clock today, Robert Smith is phoning in to give us a post-game synopsis. He was on call with Fox. He was in Atlanta for the Falcons Panthers game, and so we'll get his thoughts on those two teams, of course, but mostly we'll be talking Vikings. with the great Robert Smith. Is he a Vikings icon or is he a Vicon? What do we call him?
I like Vicon, yeah.
The Vicon himself, number 26 at 9 o'clock. And before, again, we don't need to talk about the game just yet, but I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that went to that game yesterday and then who crossed the Stone Arch Bridge and walked through my neighborhood. I've never seen a cheerier group of disgruntled fans in my life, because Chauncey and I were taking a stroll after the game and we encountered, I'm not exaggerating, dozens and dozens and dozens of fans wearing their jerseys, wearing their T-shirts, all coming out. And everybody's just having the most pleasant walk. They were chatting, and I thought, man, I've been to a lot of NFL games where the home team loses and it's just drunken rage coming across. No, I think everybody was so appreciative of the fact that we still have nice weather, and pretty soon it's not going to feel that way. It really was. It was like I had a couple of quick interactions with people because they would see Chauncey. Yeah. And I'd say, how was the game? And everybody's like, I didn't like the result, but hey, it's just great to have the team back. Everyone was so positive, and I thought, man, this is just what a friendly bunch of folks.
Yeah, that's what makes me hate football.
Is that
and
what
people in general. Then what is it? We're going to the Renaissance Festival. What's the difference between the Renaissance Festival and a Minnesota Vikings football game? There's nothing. It's fun. Did they win or they lose? It's just fun because they played. I hate you people. It's a competition. There is a winner and there is a loser.
It's about the company. It's about the outfit. There's a lot of things.
Whatever, gets you through the winter, I guess. But
you could say everything you just said applies to both a Vikings game and the Ren Fen and the Ren Festival. It's about the snacks, it's about the company you keep, and it's about the outfit.
Yep.
Because, a man in a pair of tights holding a turkey leg, not that far from a guy in a pair of sweats holding a 32-ounce Coors. You know what I'm saying?
Can't wait to see that. I'm going next Sunday. I'm going to wear
Are you going
nice
this Sunday?
Outfit. Yes.
Yeah, it's cool enough. I always feel like it's got to be a little cooler at the Renaissance Festival, All right, Mike Evans, Hollywood Report. He'll join us here at 6:30. Hang tight.
The KQ Morning Show is back. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. I'm confused, but we're going to move forward.
Me too.
What was that little musical interlude, I wonder?
Don't be confused. I've been dealing with a software issue all morning.
Okay.
TMI.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Penicillin, I think.
Nodding off, your head hits the board, boom, a button is pushed, and now we got marching band music. These things happen. Hey, you know what? It's Monday, September the 11th. It is 6:30 Central Time, a.m., which means one thing. It's time to go to Hollywood. Go West, young man. It's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Good morning, Mike.
Like a billboard for me, Hollywood music. Dun, da, 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 da.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, tomorrow is Tuesday. That means tomorrow is Marcus the Proud to announce their Value Tuesday, $6 for any movie at any Marcus Theater, 20% off all concessions. That is tomorrow's Value Tuesday. First things first, where were you, Steve, 22 years ago this morning?
I was in Los Angeles, California at the Sunset Marquis Hotel, soundly asleep.
Wow.
And then the phone rang, and then, of course, like everybody else, everything changed.
Yep. TV news, so Jimmy Fallon apparently will be canceled due to his staff calling him mean and
really
get along with, and the show was toxic place to work. And while Jimmy Fallon has apologized, what I'm hearing is basically that he will not be renewed. He's gone. I'm sure, Steve, this was part of the story, but the fact is, Fallon has been getting overpaid. Ratings have been dropping. Sponsors have been bailing for all late-night shows. Could be the NBC was looking for an excuse to let him go, and this just happened to fall in their lap.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's no way to let go of a guy that Lorne Michaels is protecting unless something like this happens. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was someone just waiting to see what would happen. I'm not trying to pile on the guy, but, man, I've heard stories for years about him being a very difficult little fella.
Yep, absolutely. So the CW Network has announced that they will carry the 72nd Miss USA contest live September 29th. My question is why? Why? It's been 10 years since they've carried this thing live. I mean, will people watch that?
I couldn't find the CW network if you paid me to.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I've heard of it. I know it exists. I don't know what they do, but apparently they do the Miss USA.
Tonight, the 54th season of Monday Night Football. I can't wait for Aaron Rodgers to see him in a Jet uniform. And that reminds me of some Howard Cosell stories. You know, I was sued twice when I worked for the New York Post. Once by Howard Cosell, once by Telly Savalas. I won both cases. But Howard and I had some run-ins. And after the lawsuit, a couple of years later, I was working at KBC Radio in Los Angeles, and there was a Monday Night Football game, and Howard came into the radio station to record his Speaking of Sports, a little 5-minute report. And that's the first time he saw me since the lawsuit a few years earlier.
Right.
He walked up to me, and he said one thing. You radio people are so simple.
Wow.
True, but F you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sure, that's why we're here. But, yeah, dude, back off a little bit. I'm sorry. I can't let you walk over, I got sued by Telly Savalas, and not give me a little crumb of that one.
Well, yeah, I was working for the Post. Telly Savalas had Telly's Pop, a great horse. It had won every race that it ran, but it needed to run one more race to qualify to go to the Kentucky Derby. Telly rented a jet, a huge jet, for all of his friends to go. And the rules read that Telly's Pop had to win one more race before the Kentucky Derby. The trainer told him not to race the horse because he had a bad left-right hoof. Mm-hmm. Telly says, I paid for the plane, so I'm going. And they raced him at Hollywood Park, and the horse broke his leg and had to be put down.
Oh, boy.
And I interviewed the trainer, and the trainer said he was really pissed. He said, Savalas, might as well put a gun to that horse's head and pull the trigger. I wrote that. Telly sued the Post and me, but then the trainer says, I did say that, so everything sort of went away.
Wow. I now my mind is just reeling over the fact that Telly Savalas was a healthy horse away from maybe having a horse in the Derby. That would have been, I mean, nice run for Telly, but God, can you imagine if he'd had a Derby winner to add into all those lollipops?
I know. Movie news. So opening of a very limited release is a movie called Mobland. And now here's the official description by the studio. And you tell me if you'd go see this movie. The studio says, a sheriff tries to keep the peace when a desperate family man violently robs a pill mill with his brother-in-law, which alerts the New Orleans Mafia.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds horrible, is horrible, stars John Travolta. And I started looking back. Man, it's been decades since Travolta had a real big hit.
What is the last hit he had?
I couldn't even find one. I went back and back and back, and
yeah, Pulp Fiction was his comeback and his sayonara all in one.
I had a few. He went on a run there, but I saw the previews to this, and I only got about a minute in. I was a little embarrassed for him. It just looks like B or C movie crap.
I mean, Gotti was a horrible movie. The Poison Rose, Trading Point, I Am Wrath, in the Valley of Violence, Criminal Activities, Wife of the Line, the Forger. I mean, that's going back five years.
You could be making all of those. You could be making all those up. I've never heard of a single one.
I'm looking right at the pro. Yeah. Music note, Jimmy Buffett's final album will be released November 3rd, but you can hear 3 cuts online, and I loved all 3. One's called My Bubbles. Second one is called Like My Dog. And the third one's the best one, is called My Brownie Just Kicked In.
I missed it. You went away. Whose album? I'm sorry.
Jimmy Buffett's.
Jimmy album. Buffett. Oh, yeah. Wow, that all sounds pretty great.
Kind of cool. And wrapping up what happened Friday on my 4 football picks, I won Colorado College, I won Baltimore, I won Dallas, but Vikings let me down.
Yeah, the Vikings let a lot of people down, Mike, but 3 for 4 first week out of the gate. That's a pretty strong start to a football season, brother.
It is. How about Dallas, 40-0?
An absolute beatdown. The New York Giants, so much for the Daniel Jones era. With that contract.
Exactly. Hey, well, everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See you.
All right, Mike. Thank you, brother.
Quick correction.
Mm-hmm.
The song is called Bubbles Up, the new Jimmy Buffett song. Bubbles, not my bubbles. Bubbles Up. It's a diving phrase.
My bubbles.
The diving phrase, metaphor for life kind of stuff. When you're confused, don't know where you are, just follow the bubbles up. By the way, Paul McCartney on that album. and sings a song with him called, the heck was it? No, I don't want to screw this up. My Gummy Just Kicked In.
Yeah, that was My Bubbles. That's almost My Bubby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's right there.
Who's
My
My
Bubby makes a
Bubbles?
hell of a roast. I mean,
Right.
that's an old traditional classic.
Right.
You know that
listen
one,
to it.
Tony.
It's very, yeah.
Whew, baby.
My Gummy Just Kicked In.
Sure did. We got a lot going on the show today. 9 o'clock, Robert Smith, the Vicon, as I've just now decided he should be called.
Awesome.
The Vikings icon. We'll phone in. We'll discuss opening week of the NFL season. You know, man, I've only been here since January. I'm not about to try to imagine what it's like to be a long-suffering Vikings fan. But seeing Jordan Love actually turn up and play well and just kick the living snot out of the Bears in Chicago, I feel your pain, Minnesota. It's like, wait, no, this guy's actually going to be able to play maybe. Now, I know the Bears are hardly, it's not like he was playing the 85 Bears defense, but still, he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
3 years watching Aaron Rodgers up close, and now report is that Aaron was actually very mentor-like on the field. He really did help him with the football stuff, and I'm like, oh, come on. I have never really been too emotionally invested in the NFC North, and I'm sick of the Packers.
Welcome. You're more of a Vikings fan than you know.
Yeah, I think I am.
Now we just need now we just need you to text someone like Purple Joe, my buddy Joe, a lifelong fan. And it is kind of exciting because his parents, his dad, bought season tickets in 1960. First season tickets.
Wow.
Yeah. So, he was born into it. It's baked into his
It's the
DNA.
best $7 they ever spent.
I kid you not, texted me, and I was kind of teasing everyone earlier when I was like, if you aren't pissed off about the Vikings game, whatever, let it go, right?
Yeah.
But he texted me after the game, and this did piss me off. Hey, come on. Cousins' stats were great. I'm like, dude, if you were here, I would have literally punched you right in the gut.
The problem is it was not a punt, pass, and kick competition.
Right.
It was actually a football game.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Let's cleanse the palate with a look back. This day in 1985, September 11th, 85, Pete Rose finally broke Ty Cobb's hit total to become the all-time hits leader in Major League Baseball. It's amazing to me it's that long ago because I do remember it very clearly. And I saw a report, and it said, who could have ever imagined that all these years later he would still be looking on the outside at the Hall of Fame? And the answer to that question is, of course, anybody that ever met him. He's just such a douchebag. 1999 on this day, Brett Favre of the Green Bay Packers and Robert Brooks completed a 99-yard touchdown reception. That is, of course, tied for the NFL record because you can't have a longer touchdown reception than 99 yards.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning. It is Monday, September the 11th. In 2 hours, 9 o'clock, Robert Smith will phone in. We will discuss the Vikings game yesterday, his thoughts on the team as the season moves along. We'll also see what he thought of the game he called for Fox yesterday, Atlanta, Carolina. It will be good to check in with the Vikings legend himself, number 26, Robert Smith, at 9 o'clock. We have a game in an hour from now at 8 o'clock. Don't pick up the phone now. It's way ahead of time. But this one's going to take a little bit of splaining. So we're going to splain it to you later this segment, probably give you a couple of primers. It's a new game we're going to throw. I think it's going to be a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. As I just mentioned a moment ago, it is September 11th. I drove my son to Los Angeles last month. And at some point in our 4 days in the car, I don't even remember how we got there. He said, man, what was it like on 9/11? He was 14 months old when that happened. And one of the things I heard myself say was, the farther we get away from it, if I see footage of that day now, I actually can't believe it happened. It just seems like, and I remember the day as crystal clear as anybody does, but so much has changed in our lives with technology. This is pre-smartphone. This is pre-streaming. This is pre a lot of things. And the way information was filtered out and shared and passed along, and the way we lived our lives is radically different now than it was in 2001. That said, every year on this day, as soon as you start seeing images when you get online, if you see a report, it just comes back so clearly. Mike Evans asked me where I was earlier in the show. I was at a hotel in West Hollywood on tour with the Black Crowes. And I've been to that hotel since, and I can't walk into that lobby without thinking about being there on 9/11. It's just the first thing that comes to mind. Which is leading to me asking you, Brian Zepp, you were here on 9/11. You were in this very building.
Yeah.
How long was it before you stopped having those memories? Or, I mean, if you even remember, was there a time when you went through the day and finally went, oh, I didn't think about the fact that I was here on that day?
You know, it's odd. We have a break room over here that's kind of empty right now. But back in the day, there was a whole bunch of, we used it for DJ prep. You'd go in there. There were some computers and television monitors, and you'd chill and watch TV in there. That room in particular, because when it happened that morning, of course, we were on the air. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, like everyone's lives, except we're working and trying our best to report what is happening in real time in front of us. So it was a blur. I mean, it was just a lot of, and it was over. But it was when I walked across the hall, or a pod, we call it here, the room, into that room and watched the first tower come down, that the emotion and the gravity of the day really hit me. And I still can't walk into that room to this day. Even though everything's been pulled out of there, we've had couches in there, it's gone through a few different changes, without really thinking about that day, because that's where I really absorbed it, was in that room, for sure.
It's such a visceral thing. I'm almost kind of surprised every year because, like I said, I look at it and there's almost, I mean, generally speaking, there's almost a like a separation, or it's like that was a different planet. That was a movie I saw. That was a different life. It feels like several lives ago. But then on this day every year, it feels like it was 5 minutes ago. I can remember I was on the West Coast. My wife was at home with our baby. In Brooklyn, she was on the roof of our building watching the towers. They were right across the river. It was like you just looked up and there they were. So she had a very different experience than I did, but she called me as soon as the second tower hit, called the room and woke me up and said, you have to get up. And I turned on the TV, and then, of course, like everyone, spent the next, 18 hours from 6 a.m. L.A. time to, midnight the following night when we got on the bus and started heading back east, not knowing if we were going to play shows or how we would ever get back to New York. It was a very bizarre week for us. But for the next 18 hours, I was afraid to look away from the television. I just kept thinking, this is the end of everything as we know it. And to a certain extent, that is true. I mean, it changed so many ways about the way we look at all kinds of things in life. It was my immediate response was just, are you okay? And then I thought, I had a lot of friends in New York, and we were talking a little earlier. I didn't know anybody firsthand in either tower, but I knew a whole lot of people that did know people. And it's just something that's still, I had friends, very close calls, people that were right there, got out just in time, all that kind of stuff. So a day that it's always something you have to know, you have to talk about. You kind of got to get back in that headspace. Tony, where were you?
Brian mentioned it all being kind of a blur, and mine was too, but for a different reason. I had kidney stones, and I was heavily medicated with Percocet.
Weird.
So, watching that and being in that haze, it was just a really bizarre situation.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
Were you here in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that probably felt like a fever dream,
Oh, so bizarre.
When our son was born the summer before, in the summer of 2000, he was born at St. Vincent's on the west side, Lower Manhattan on the west side. And when we checked into our room, we have a brand new baby. We're going to stay overnight in the hospital. His sun goes down. We're exhausted. I mean, I say we're exhausted. I was tired. My wife was exhausted. I just needed a nap.
Yeah.
But that very first night, as parents, looking out of our window, we were just staring at the Twin Towers. That's what we were looking up at. And I remember wow, we have a baby now, and we live in New York, and this is where it is. And it was just such a striking thing with all the emotions of the day and all of the things that it means to finally be a parent. And, we've got this boy, and then there's those towers. And I thought a lot about it on 9/11. I thought someone's in those same maternity rooms. Like a bunch of people just had babies. And instead of them looking at the lit up towers at night on a moonless night where they look amazing, like a movie shot, they're watching those towers, fall. I just thought, well, what a horrific, the most bittersweet day imaginable,
right.
And that's a whole floor of people who's just had babies facing those towers. It was really such a awful thing to think about. Candace, you were just a kid.
Yeah, I was just a dumb kid, selfishly thinking school was going to be canceled.
Yeah, well, Taylor,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, she said the same thing. She was a little giddy. She's 8. She has no idea what's really going on. And no one really explained it to him. It was like, all right, kids, you got to get out of here and send them home. And by that time, I had been off the air. But yeah, Candace, what was that's kind of your memory, but you had a chance to absorb it since then.
Yeah, of course. And then I mean, even after that, my mom explained everything to me and stuff. So I remember feeling just like so scared. Yeah. That could happen.
Yeah, my daughter said something, and I'm sure you said share this experience. Actually last year we were talking about it, and I said something about her not having a lot of memories from that time and how she's, what she thinks of it to this day. And she said, well, what I think about to this day is as the result of that, a lot of young men and women that I grew up with ended up, serving in the military, and wars that ensued as a result of that day, and a whole bunch of friends her age. I don't have friends my age that are going over and serving in these wars, but she does have friends that she's graduated with, grew up with, that have gone over and fought these wars as a result of this, and that hits pretty close to home, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had an experience a couple years after. In the fall of 2003, I went on the road with a Welsh band, Stereophonics, and I guess so. This was early '04. We played a gig in South Dakota in Vermilion.
Yeah,
and
at the Dakota Dome.
No, it was nothing that big. We were out on tour with a guy named Howie Day. It was I think it was on a campus. There's a school there, right?
Yeah, University of South Dakota.
Oh, well, that would be the one. The Kelly Jones from the band, he wrote a song called Dakota that day, and that's the biggest hit that band's ever had. It was huge in Europe. But we were like at soundcheck. He just played this song he wrote, and we were all like, that's kind of catchy. Anyway, after the show, we drove, stopped at Mount Rushmore. Everybody wanted to see that because the next gig was Seattle, so that's a hike. Oh. And then right after Mount Rushmore, I got dropped off at an airport nearby. I can't remember what Rapid City or whatever airport's
Rapid City,
just west of Mount Rushmore.
That's it.
Because I was going to L.A. for a couple days off. That morning at this tiny little airport in Rapid City, I boarded a flight to Denver, a commuter jet, and it was me, and every other seat on that plane was a young man heading off to war.
Yeah.
In their fatigues. It was like in my mind, I'm like, why aren't they on a military flight? But that's not how they rolled. I got on like one of those 32 or 48 seat planes, and I kid you not, it was me and everyone else was off to war.
Wow.
Or off to basic training or whatever it was. And a few of them had family members at the gate, or outside the gate or wherever it was, just in the tiny little lobby, and there was a lot of goodbyes. And I got on that plane with a bunch of, they were babies. I was at the time in my late 30s, and I'm looking at these 18 and 19-year-old kids like they're just 10-year-olds. And the mood on that plane, it was just that mix of let's go do this and what are we getting ourselves into? And the kid next to me just said, yeah, just what it's going to be. You're going to go figure it out. And he just had a whole wall up of bravado and gusto. And I never forgot it. When we landed in Denver and everybody's transferring to their planes, I'm like, gee, I'm going to L.A. because I'm playing on a session. And where are these guys going? And who knows what? And they all, the flight attendants, there was 2 of them, they all just applauded. They said, we just want to wish you guys the best. And they all gave themselves a round of applause. And I just shook a couple of their hands, and I just remember thinking, like, man, this is the world we live in now. But it's just that as much as anything on the day of 9/11 has never left me. It's still such a, talking about it right now, like my heart is racing. I just think about what was going on that plane.
Yeah, feeling that. It happens around this time every year. I just did it this weekend. I'm up Sunday morning, and we got some games starting here at noon. Yeah. A little excited. I start channel surfing around to see what other pre-games are on, and boom, there's the documentary. And I see 1,001, 1,002 seconds of it. I'm like, no, I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now, because it's so visceral. It's so immediate. It takes you back. The emotion is, I don't know if it's quite exactly what we were feeling that day, but close enough that I remember speaking with my grandfather, who was still alive after 9/11. I said, he went off to World War II after Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Pearl Harbor, you go right down, you enlist, and off to war you go. And I said, that it must be the same thing. And he said, no, it's not, because you lived through it. Pearl Harbor we saw in the paper. He said it was a couple of days, actually. He was a farm kid out in the middle
about it, right?
Yeah, in the middle of Pennsylvania. He said, we didn't even hear. We were Appalachian kids. We heard about it a couple of days after, and when everyone was going down to the recruitment office. What's going on, and the start of World War II. So, and we sat there and watched it in real time that morning. And so, the emotion.
One thing, there were so many. At that day, there were so many rumors flying around because you heard about Pennsylvania, you heard about the Pentagon. But before the Pentagon, there was a rumor that the State Department had been bombed.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine the false information that would be flying around today with social media. It was bad.
God.
It was bad enough in 2001.
Yeah.
Thank God for AOL Instant Messenger. That's how I was communicating with my friends in New York. I mean, of all the things, but I look back on that, and I felt like that was the equivalent of FaceTime now. It was amazing to be able to have live text messages with people to say, "Are you okay? Where are you? Are you downtown?" For so many people, that was a true lifeline to connect and make sure everybody you knew was okay.
Yeah, there was the paranoia of every tall building in every major metropolitan city in America, including that IDS tower here in Minneapolis.
We were on the road. The Crows were on the road. It was a week before we got back to the East Coast, and we toured through Halloween. So just another 6 weeks or so. I had a couple days in Chicago. I just stared at that Hancock Tower out of the hotel. Every plane coming over Lake Michigan, going to O'Hare. I just couldn't stop looking up, and that was for months and months and months. It was exactly what it was. New York City was the 5-6 months following that were again. There's just so many things that, like you said, Zepp, you don't want to open that because all of a sudden I'm right back there, remembering and thinking about it. But we all have that. I think it's important that we have these conversations probably a lot more often than once a year because it is a moment that everybody remembers and that everybody shared and everybody has so many significant thoughts and feelings about, and it is something that, like anything in life, you say, well, why can't we remember this every day? I will say, if anybody ever has a chance to go to New York, if you go to the 9/11 Memorial, you've never seen or felt anything quite like it.
Yeah, it's
beyond overwhelming.
Thinking about that driving in this morning, I thought, I've not been out since. Since they built, I'm trying to remember, Trade Center 1 or World Center 1. I'm forgetting now the name of it. But I haven't been out since then and seen the memorial, and that's something I would like to do sometime. And then, we do what we do. Well, we did on that day, and what we continue to do, we move on and bitch about the Vikings. Were we bitching about the Vikings then? I know there was a little break in the action there, wasn't there?
I think it's more than appropriate to open up the gates to bitch about the Vikings.
I do like, I did see, and I've been trying to find it all morning long, and you pulled it off Twitter, doggone it, one of our local affiliates here. I'm not going to bust them, but they had the bud patches on. Talking about your Vikings, the Vikings, I don't know if you saw, had a patch with the signed Bud from his signature. They were talking to a teenager outside, and they said, "You see the patch, Bud? You know what that's for, right?" And he goes, because they legalized marijuana? I was like, God, I love you. Come here, you knucklehead. Give me a kiss.
Right there. That's only a matter of time till someone on AI right now is putting a Bud Grant press conference together where he's just working a big doob. It's going to look as real as it could be, too.
You got to keep laughing. We're going to do that here at 7:30. Please hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. As football season has begun, I want to remind everybody that humans live closer to the time of the T-Rex than the T-Rex to the time of the Stegosaurus. Now, okay, first of all, that's true.
Yeah.
And secondly, what does it mean? Nothing. I just, something about the Vikings, it's eventually going to come around. Maybe. We gotta wait. It's not as long as you think. The T-Rex and the Stegosaurus never got on the same page. I don't know. I'm just trying for something here, guys. Give me a break.
My little dinosaur collection, they fought each other.
Sure they did. T-Rex kicked his ass every time.
Yeah, but not the Triceratops.
Really?
True.
Triceratops, just every once in a while.
That was the guy?
Yeah, that was the guy.
Boy, there was a lot of mistakes yesterday with the Vikings.
Yeah.
And of course, before Thursday, we'll all brace ourselves for the fact that they're in Philly on Thursday night on the short week against the reigning NFC champions. But there were moments when they looked pretty darn good on offense. There's no denying that fact. Jordan Addison, okay, there's something there.
Yeah, good to see him go streaking past the secondary, and he's got the speed and. Kirk got it up and over the top. So, yeah, there's that. We know we got Jefferson, Addison, Osborne. Would have had a pretty good game, I think, if Cousins would have got a couple more of those passes.
Mm-hmm. Where'd that go in the second half, though? JJ had 138 yards first half. Second half,
12.
11 or 12.
Right? I have no idea what I don't think
weird.
that you can. I don't think Tampa Bay adjusted so spectacularly that JJ was muted by their efforts. Kirk 33 of 44, but it's the interception and the 2 lost fumbles. Ooh, boy. I mean, get one of those hand grip things and start working it over, bud. First drive of the game, though, and again, later in the season, first drive, whatever, but opening drive of the season, coming out of the preseason, you really want things to click. There was a false start that just killed that drive, and that really is that's a big domino to fall early in the wrong direction. You just see this kind of stuff. The exact same thing happened with my Tennessee Titans. Not one, but 2 false starts on the first drive. They are gifted. They kick the ball off. New Orleans fumbles. They recover. Shortest field imaginable, and not one, but 2 false starts. Yeah. Again, Vikings had the same thing on their first drive, and you watch it just – then all of a sudden it's in people's heads because they're overcompensating. The adrenaline's flying. It's the new season. It's game 1. Everything's all about first impressions and establishing some momentum and some inertia. And it really, really does hurt when you have an opportunity and see it fall apart with a mistake like that.
Yeah, listen, offenses always get started a little slow in the season, generally. I don't think, now we can sit around and argue. We couldn't last year, not playing any of the starters in the preseason. I think they got a couple of snaps this year late in the preseason. You could argue, well, look how fast they started last year, but they also started slow offensively and with some mistakes. We saw that around the league, though. Offenses, defenses are ready to go before offenses typically to get a season started. So, you could put that on some of that, but
sure.
Unless you're the 49ers playing the Steelers, then apparently you've got your mid-season already with that. But, it's just, here we go again. It's just a team with a lot of some offensive line issues, some secondary issues. I'll tell you what, the defense was a lot more fun to watch. I mean, when the blitz worked, it worked fabulously.
Yes.
But when it failed, it over the top and some big passes. And this was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes.
If you're looking for a silver lining with all these miscues, you can pin a hat. You can hang a hat on this, I do believe. The offensive woes really was early. The fact that they recovered and had some highlights after. I mentioned that first possession of the game, a false start led to a punt when the team was moving. The second drive, if you remember, Ingram knocked the ball out of Cousins' hands. His own right guard knocked it, so that's a fumble. The third drive, another lost fumble, and the fourth drive, 3 and out. If you start your first 4 drives like that and you find yourself in a close game at the end, no matter who you're playing, okay, that shows that there's some resilience, there's some calm, there's some perspective. Okay, we got to get it together here. And then obviously JJ went to work. Addison had that really nice, you said streaking touchdown. It's not all bad at all. And again, the defense, at least it's not what we saw last year. So it's tough to think about starting the season 0-2, and that road trip to Philly on Thursday that's a scary one. There's no getting around that.
Well, then the Chargers come to town, and they've got themselves quite an offense. They were in against the Dolphins yesterday.
Incredible game.
Right, exactly. I mean, you had quarterbacks putting up 400-yard games right out of the gate. So that's pretty cool. Panthers, then Chiefs, Bears, 49ers, Packers. It's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough. That Vikings, Dolphins, Chargers game was pretty incredible. Tua with 460 some odd yards. And my gosh, Tyreek Hill is just impossible.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Way to put it.
Good luck if you're playing the Dolphins, especially if you're playing them in Miami this year. If Tua stays healthy, this is an interesting thing. The Tua off-season jiu-jitsu training program. Did you hear about this? Yeah. He's really into jiu-jitsu. He says it's helping him learn how to fall better and avoid hits and whatever it takes, man. Because if that kid's going to sling it like he did yesterday, then the Bills are in trouble, much less everybody else in the AFC. It's like, hey, Aaron, I'm glad you got that Jets uniform, fits pretty nicely, but I'm sorry, the Dolphins are terrifying right now.
I saw that fall better. Well, there's falling, yeah. You got to know how to fall. Yeah. What about being slammed to the turf by a defensive end or a blitzing linebacker? That's not really, this guy, 300-pound guy is going to body slam me. I think you know what I'll do? I'll just shift my body in this jiu-jitsu-like way. But, hey, let's hope he stays healthy. We'd love to see that for him as well. But I think the Dolphins are he's going to have to put up 400 yards every game and get into some shootouts.
Most likely. Candace, you had some folks over. You had a little hootenanny going on, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. So
let's hear about it.
No, we just watched the game. It was, really fun. I live with someone who is a psycho Vikings fan.
Okay.
So yeah, we all dressed up. We had the best snacks, got the best pizza.
Okay, how many people are we talking?
There was only like 5 people. It wasn't like a huge
Did you
banger.
serve some bars?
Yeah, we had some bars and some cheese and crackers. No, but I enjoyed the game. I was really excited at first. And, everyone talks crap about Kirk Cousins, but I fully support him being good. So I'm going to try to just keep the purple pride alive, especially because tomorrow night I'm going to meet John Randall. So I have to, keep this, intensity going for the purple.
What if Randall starts trash-talking Cousins?
Then I'll get on board.
Okay. He does suck.
Any miscues? Anybody spill the punch bowl? Did
Nope.
Gigi get up and eat the clam dip? Anything go crazy like that?
No, we were all calm. I actually did fall asleep at the end of the game. I was
Atta girl.
Did your psycho Vikings fan pal there, did they behave poorly? They didn't stomp off? Yeah.
She was upset. She uses the word that I don't like to use a lot when referring to Kirk Cousins. It's the P word.
Oh, boy.
But you support him.
Pirate?
I support him being good.
I support him being good. Okay. Did you hear that, Kirk? Don't let down Candace or we'll come kick your ass.
Oh, here comes Kirk Cousins. He's just that old pterodactyl out there. Is that the P word?
Yeah.
I support you.
So it obviously could have gone worse. I'm sorry your psycho Vikings fan was using the bad words. I mentioned earlier, I encountered literally dozens of Vikings fans trailing out of the stadium, crossing the Stone Arch Bridge, heading to their cars or if they live over on that side of the river. Chauncey and I were taking a walk, got out shortly after the game ended, and nothing but just pleasantries all around. Yeah. I watch people, and they're talking about the game, and it'd be a group of 2, 3, or 4 guys and gals, and but they'd see the dog and all light up, and hey, how was it? Oh, it's fun. Everybody seemed okay. I was like, man, this is a fan base with some perspective.
Yeah.
No choice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Well, it reminded me of when I got here my first week on the air. There's a home playoff game against the Giants, and I'm getting fired up. I'm like, come on, guys, 13 wins, and all of you are looking at me like I'm crazy. You're like, the Giants are going to beat us. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Those same Giants were mercilessly bullwhipped by the Cowboys last night. For everybody wondering if the Cowboys defense is as good as advertised, now Daniel Jones and the Giants are hardly the Randy Moss era Patriots, but still 40-0 home loss on Sunday night. That is beyond gut-wrenching for the New York Giants. Go ahead and color them done, and now we got to deal with all the obnoxious Cowboys fans in our lives. I'm sure everybody at least knows one.
I have one in the family, that defected over to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And,
The city of Atlanta is full of Cowboys fans. I moved there in the late 80s. And all the long-suffering Bartkowski Falcon fans. At one point, everyone I knew in Atlanta was like, "Nah, around the late '70s, I just jumped on the Cowboys. They're on every week. Screw it."
He'll find a hand. That's what a Cowboys pickup. I think that's why they called them America's team originally.
That was it.
You got all these losing markets, and people would be like, screw it. I'm gonna go for the Cowboys. Well, good luck to the Cowboys. Of course, they have the Eagles in their division, and not a bad division, but. And then the Vikes, going to travel there. Wouldn't that be something, though? If Vikes go get one done. There I go now. Wouldn't that be something if they go steal one out of Philadelphia? Candace, are you with me? I'm supporting the Vikings being good this Thursday.
Yeah.
What's the matter with it? Who are you?
Crazier things have happened. I mean, I guess. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'd have to look at that. On the KQRS Facebook page, if you have some comments on the game, if you want to share anything, feel free to post there. And speaking of the game and your experiences, okay, we're going to play a game here on the show in just a few minutes. We're going to be giving away some cool stuff. But in order to do that, Tony, let's talk about this. We have a new game we're going to play today in honor of the football season kicking off.
Yeah, kind of a cool idea. We'll see where it goes. We want to know, how did you enjoy the game? Where was your party? What did you do? What did you serve? Were there any incidents, any dramas that were entertaining? We want to hear about it. It's going to be kind of a competition to find out who had the best gathering, the best party.
Who had the best week one experience.
Yeah.
And if that involves the curtains accidentally being lit afire,
Yes.
that
All the
helps. That
better.
helps greatly.
Yeah, the best being a relative term, right? The most,
Of
most
course.
entertaining. Entertain us all listening here this
Yeah,
morning.
sure.
All right, so we're going to take 3 callers then.
That's it.
651-989 Rock. How about 9, 2, and 5? 3 callers. We're playing. How was the game? How was the party? Feel free to make something up for a chance to win tickets to see the Minnesota. Well, I don't know. Win tickets to see the Twins and the Tampa Bay Rays tonight at Target Field. Still in first place, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Prize provided by the Minnesota Twins. Our runner-up today, tickets to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Running weekends through October 1st. Prize provided by the Minnesota Renaissance Huzzah Festival. 3 callers this morning, 651-989 Rock. Dial up. Good luck. And hang tight.
Okay, come on, you kids.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, September the 11th, 2023. Good morning. First order of business right now. We had some callers lined up to play a game, and we are having some technical difficulties. We've got one. We lost another. If you want to get in on a game called How Was the Game, How Was the Party, you can call right now, 651-989-ROCK. We need another contestant. How was the game? How was the party? We want to know what went down for the Vikings game yesterday. The guest list, more importantly, the food, the drink, the drama. What happened?
Yeah.
What went wrong? Who got into a fight with whom? Etc.
Yeah, I got into a fight with Purple Joe already this morning.
Really?
I was like, dude, hey, listen, you should call in, man. There's at least win some Renaissance Festival tickets. And he just texted back, no. But this is a
That'll
guy
happen.
that
It'll
will.
happen.
Yeah, he's going to sulk, until Thursday. Then he's going to sulk till the following Sunday. He's a sulker. Some of these people take this. I'm going to go with Candace's. After watching Sabotage on Saturday out at the Chili Feed and her lighthearted, hard rocking attitude, I'm going to try and. I'm not going to support Kirk Cousins to do good, but I'm going to support the Vikings to do
Sure.
well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course. We've got to do that, especially now that it looks like the Packers have a new quarterback who's pretty good.
Just
Man,
beat the damn
can't get over that.
Packers. Just beat the Packers.
If the Lions look like they're pretty good, and then the Packers get another decent quarterback, come on, man. Where's the justice in the world?
Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't reside in Minnesota.
I'm 8 months in town. I'm getting an NFC North ulcer already. Great.
Oh, just relax. Just have some more snacks. You'll be fine.
Okay, thank you for that, Candace. Thank you very much for that. Have we got a couple of have we got someone else locked in, Candace?
Yeah, we got 2.
Yeah. yeah. All right, so this is the first time we're going to give we're going to run this flag up the pole. Tony, what do you got for us?
This is, we're calling this, How Was the Game? How Was the Party?
Man.
I've been to some damn good football parties, and I couldn't have told you the score of the game the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
That was a good party.
I've been to football games where I didn't remember anything about it. Like, I barely remember leaving the stadium. So, yeah.
That's a good time.
Season we kicked off yesterday, a little dodgy around the edges for the Minnesota Vikings. But, hope springs eternal. It is a long season. Let's see how we did. Candace, who is caller number 1?
Jeremy from Prior Lake.
Jeremy, good morning.
Morning.
All right, well, so you understand the game here. How is the game? How is the party? Essentially, we're looking for your stories about your experience for the Vikings season opener yesterday, and then we'll all debate on who had the best experience. And so if you win, you got tickets to see the Tampa Bay Rays take on the Minnesota Twins tonight at Target Field. The runner-up prize, tickets to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Are you ready, sir?
Sure.
All right, well, lay it on us. How was the game? How was the party? Let's hear it.
It was great. We catered in some food from a local restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I had some family over.
Floored it.
A bus went by.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe he was just ripping around somebody.
What kind of food? What kind of drink?
We had some pizza.
Come on, we're looking for specifics, Jeremy.
You know, when they say they catered some food in from a local restaurant, in other words, you ordered pizza.
Right.
We had some pizza and pasta.
Oh.
Okay.
And Prior Lake, I bet I know where you got that. But anyway, we're moving on, Jeremy. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anybody get wiped out? Anybody pass out before the game was over?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Are we going to name names? What were you drinking?
We're drinking Miller Lite.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Fair enough.
Did you make out with anybody?
Excuse me?
Did you make out with anybody?
No, I lost some money.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Made out with a piece of pizza.
Right.
Do you remember the score?
Excuse me?
Do you remember the final score of the game?
Yeah, it was 20-17.
Okay.
Was everybody wearing purple?
Most of us.
And where are you off to right now, brother?
Work.
Okay. All right, Jeremy.
Oh my God.
Listen, we appreciate the call. Sit tight. We're going to see what else we got from the other caller. Hang with us. Going to put you back on hold. Well done. A man, a few words. Calling in for a story segment.
Yeah. Inferring a lot.
A lot of
Imagine the rest.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of a great artist who can leave you to determine and interpret what's really what you're
True.
hearing.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm filling in all the blanks with some crazy ass stuff, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh no, that's like 4-alarm fire by the end of it. Candace, who's caller number 2?
Mike from Minneapolis.
Mike, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're great, thank you very much. Have you got a story for us? How was the game? How was the party?
I sure do. So first I'll tell you, I've had season tickets since 1994, so
Attaboy.
a while. Anyway, I was fortunate enough yesterday to one of my sister's friends has a suite for all the games. So I got to go in the suite with them, me and my wife and my sister and her family and
Okay.
their friend and whatever. Anyway, I happen to be a blind person, so I use a white cane. And I was like, okay, guys, I'll be right back. I got to go use the restroom. Well, I come out of our suite. Right around the corner, I encountered somebody who tripped over my cane, and I found out it was the owner of the Buccaneers that was in the suite right next to it.
Oh,
all right.
You tripped the Buccaneers owner
On
with
purpose.
your cane.
He wasn't watching where he was going. He
Awesome.
stepped right on my cane.
Oh, boy.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Well, I'm not going to cut you off. I'm going to go ahead and give a spoiler alert that we have a winner, but I want to hear the rest of this story. That was he injured at all?
If he was, I didn't really care at that second.
Attaboy.
Did you kick him when he was down?
Yeah, I stepped on his foot. Anyway, so I get back in our and I didn't know who it was at that point, and my nephew said, I think that's the owner of the Bucs. I said, how do you know? He goes, well, he's wearing a suit, and I have a picture of him here, and he showed everybody, and they're like, yep, that's the owner of the Bucs.
Oh
and then we all did a shot, and
Yes.
and they all gave me a toast because I tripped him.
What if he tore his ACL? Out for the season.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible. Are we talking about Joel Glazer?
Yes.
Oh, my
Glazer.
God, that's incredible.
This is actually better than a Vikings win.
Yes.
I thought so too.
You know what?
That's why I was so mad yesterday.
It's because it's a win for all other 31 teams other than Tampa Bay. That's fantastic. That's what you get for signing Brady and the whole cash grab. Get one ring and then look at your team. Well, of course they're 1-0. I guess I can't really rip on them too bad.
Yeah, they say they aren't heroes anymore.
This is Mike. What an incredible story. And while we still have you, has anybody else tripped up of note? Did you ever trip Prince back in the day, or is this something that's happened before?
Nobody famous, but honestly, that's how I met my wife too. She tripped over my cane at the Mall of America.
What?
Oh my God, this is.
Are you sure you can't see? I feel like okay.
I can see a little bit, but not well enough.
I was like, there's a pretty girl. I'll trip her. Hey, there's the owner of the Bucks. I got you, buddy. Because what they can't get mad at you, man.
Exactly.
Beautiful story.
God, local legend Mike coming in strong.
Yeah,
that is outstanding work, brother. Again, let's just cut right to the chase. We've got tickets to see the Tampa Bay Rays, the Twins and the Rays tonight.
Yeah,
those are yours. Well, very well done, sir. And you are welcome to call back anytime you trip anybody up at any level.
Yes.
If this is something you're going to do again, we got other teams coming into town. Just boom, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait,
That's
now,
awesome.
Mike, did you make out with anybody?
Well, my wife when we got home.
Yeah.
Winning.
How do you know it was your wife? Maybe you took home the wrong woman.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Maybe it was the owner of the Bucks.
Mike, that is a spectacular day, and thank you for sharing it with us, brother.
Yeah.
All the best.
You bet.
Candace is going to get you set up for those Twins tickets.
I can't wait to hear who he trips tonight.
In the grand tradition of didn't see that one coming,
Right.
like literally and figuratively, that is a hell of a story.
What a
I was
gift.
just about to compare this game show to the game itself. However, I feel like we got a big win here.
Yeah, we got that's called just running. That's a 99-yard kickoff return for the backdoor cover right there.
It is.
Man, that was incredible.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
I'm reeling over how great that is.
That was fun.
I really enjoyed that.
That makes me want to get one of those white sticks, doesn't it? See what you can get away with out there.
I imagine you can get away with an awful lot. I'm going to switch gears really quickly and mention, because oftentimes somebody sets a new record for the Guinness Book, and we mention that, and I think it's important. This is a good one. A guy in Pennsylvania was given a Guinness World Record for being, let's see, the most friendless dude in search of a life?
What?
No, sorry. The man who saw the most movies in a cinema in a single year. Sorry. A guy from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. In 12 months, he went to see movies every day for 12 months. 777 times.
Holy.
Every day.
Every
Wow.
day. That's over 2 a day, my math tells me.
What the?
For a calendar year, he saw 777 movies, which is just, come on, man.
Oh, did he have a pass? Did he?
He said, I would work from 6:45 a.m. to 2:45 p.m., get off work, and then go to see 2 movies. On weekends, I would see more.
Sorry about the hemorrhoids.
Yeah. He took advantage of the Regal Unlimited Movie Pass.
Okay.
So he spent, a couple $100 apparently all in. And now this is not 777 different movies. There weren't that many options in Carlisle, PA. For example, the movie he saw more than any other was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And the advantage of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is that it's only an hour 42 minutes, so he could get more showings in. He saw that one 47 times out of the 777. Here's my question. How do we know he didn't just sleep through all of these?
I hope he did. I hope he slept through some of them. What's next for him? I mean, what do you do after you've done that with your life for an entire year? Watch 777 movies in 1 year. Can you, what?
Well, first of all, obviously, he's going to have to beat the ladies off with a stick. I think that was the whole point. I don't know how to talk to people. I've got to do something that will give me something to talk about.
All right.
Trust me, by the time he's going through, the 39th time I saw Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, that's when I really noticed the character development is way deeper than you might imagine. I cannot imagine doing anything 777 times in a year, much less sitting through movies. He did say, let's see, the worst movie of the year was called The Devil Conspiracy. Favorite movie? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
All right. Sure.
And by the way, that was his 716th movie. That's when he broke the record. The record was 715. He went on and tacked on an extra, 62 to go ahead and just cement. That's like Barry Bonds going way past Hank Aaron.
I wonder at what point in the movie theater they thought, hey, it's old what's-his-face again. This is fun, to, oh, dear, this guy's psycho.
Yeah, I've just, boy, I mean, because you can't pull that off if you've got a rich social life.
Carlisle, PA.
Yeah.
That's we got a lot of family from Carlisle, PA. Dear mother Dottie was born in Carlisle, PA.
No kidding. I want. There's got to be it's not 6 degrees of separation. I bet within 2. I bet Dottie knows someone that knows this guy's family.
He's my cousin.
Let's get a message to this guy.
I'm going to go beat him up.
Okay. You will not be first in line.
Vicon, what Steve named him this morning, Robert Smith. We're going to talk about not just the Vikes, but the kickoff of the NFL season. Of course, there's a big game tonight. An old NFC Norther going at it, I guess. I've heard something about that. So that's coming up here at 9 o'clock at 8:30. Something that I think I've actually got a shot at here. There's actually a competition to find the laziest person. The laziest person. I'm down. Yeah, we're going to tell you all about it here at 8:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. We're discussing the Vikings game in about 30 minutes with Robert Smith, the man I have now tagged a Vicon, a Vikings icon. The great running back from Ohio State will be joining us in 30 minutes. I look forward, as always, to catching up with Robert Smith. It's a bittersweet start to the football season, kind of like in 2003 when a guy in Texas won $5.5 million in a state lottery, but forfeited the winnings because prosecutors were able to prove that he bought that ticket using proceeds he earned selling drugs. That's a true story.
You can't do
Guy
that?
won $5.5 million, and shortly thereafter, and then got popped. And they'd been on him for a while, tapping his phones, and he was discussing drug sales before and during the day he bought that lottery ticket. They had him on tape that morning talking about the sale he'd just made. So they were like, so the money you bought that ticket with is obviously drug money, therefore you have to pay it back. Guy got $5.5 million in his bank, and then they took it back from him and then sent him to jail. That's bittersweet.
Yeah, that stings, man.
I mean, we're excited about football, and the Vikings lost, but none of us are in prison, and we didn't have to write a check for $5.5 million. I'm just saying it could be worse.
It could be worse.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Is it going to get any better, though? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, I have a 23-year-old son who is a lifelong Tennessee Titans fan, and we discussed yesterday, as we have in the past, the concept of emotional regulation.
Okay.
After the Titans blew that game and looked horrible doing it, he was just beside himself. And I was like, okay, this is how life works. We're getting to that age. Got to get it straight. Got to be able to roll with the punches, baby. It's going to be okay. But I love the passion. What can I say? It's a great time of year. The month of September, the game comes back. I now have the green light to prepare a big vat of chili at least once a week in our home. It's a good thing.
I better be invited to that.
You will be invited to have all the chili you could possibly want. I'll even let you choose. Do you want to go with a white bean chicken or do you want to go? Yeah, okay. Well, we got chili options at the Gorman household for you.
Someone had a good point. They compared the Vikings giant punter Ryan Wright. He's the same size as Titans Derrick Henry. Same height and weight.
That's a big dude. That's exactly what
Hand
that
him the
is.
ball.
Right.
I didn't get off the couch for several hours yesterday, and I got the package on YouTube. I slapped leather, as they say, because I want to be able to watch the red zone. I want to be able to see the games I want to see. For the first time, hey, YouTube, they got some smart guys over there. It was a really, really glitch-free experience after years of DirecTV handling that. I was very happy to have that. At some point in the day, though, I did have to get up and walk just for my own sanity. Like, you got to get outside, take the dog out, just maybe go up and down a flight of stairs, because you sit on the couch for 6 straight hours watching football, you start to feel a bit like a slug. And I can be lazy with the best of them.
Yeah.
I can sit around and get very little done in a day.
Oh, yeah.
But that said, I got nothing on a handful of people right now competing in Europe, in the country of Montenegro. They are trying to find the laziest citizen. This is real. There is a contest going on. Folks are laying around all day long. You are not allowed to sit or stand up. There's a village called Brezna in northern Montenegro They have this contest every year. The winner gets about $1,000, which I probably goes pretty far in this little town. They're looking for the laziest citizen. Right now, there are 7 contestants remaining. They have been lying down on mats for over 20 straight days.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Not hours. Yeah. Not hours. Days.
Yeah, that's overdoing it.
Now, you can play with your phone or your laptop. You can eat, drink, and read, but you can't do anything else. You are not allowed to sit up, much less stand up. Every 8 hours, you get a 10-minute bathroom break.
10 minutes.
So eating and drinking, got to pace yourself because it's an 8-hour break.
Yeah. I'm way past the age I could get away with that. 8 hours isn't going to get it done. You better slap the diaper on.
Yeah, this is they're okay. They're into their 23rd day, and again, 7 people still hanging on 23 days in to be named laziest citizen. If I were going to attempt this, a mat on the floor is not going to work.
No.
Now, a full-sized, extra-strength rope hammock, maybe. you slide a Pawleys Island rope hammock between a couple of pine trees. Look out! I might push 23 days.
I always get really scared when I try to get into a hammock.
Really?
I just get really nervous about it.
What are you nervous? What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. Flip or
is it
spin
way
around.
high up in the air?
I got little legs, sometimes I got to hoist myself up there. I'm just worried that I'll fall on my face.
You could get tangled.
Yeah, or tangled. There's a lot of things that
flipping
could
and tangling.
I've never flipped and tangled. I have jumped into a hammock that then collapsed, and it was okay because it was like 3 feet off the ground, so there was no injuries, just some embarrassment. We can work on this. We can work on your hammock protocol, and we can walk you through this.
Help me.
Yeah. Oh, poor Candace and her hammock. The hammock woes. We had a couple of callers that were telling us about their football party in the last segment. And Candace, you had an interesting question for both gentlemen. You asked them if they made out with anybody. And so I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't ask you the same. Did you make out with someone during the Vikings game? Maybe.
There's no
football,
maybe.
Football just does something to me.
Does it really?
It bores her enough so that she's like, will anyone make out with me? That pillow over there. Come here.
All right, dude, let me finish this salty dog, and then you get over here.
Well, Candace has freed me from this Vikings season, and I'm also a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. That was the consolation. I thought, well, after the Steelers game, I'll come back and watch the Vikings game. But it's halfway through the Steelers game, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go hit some golf balls because the Vikings are playing, and that's the best time to be on a driving range in the fall is when the Vikings are playing. There's no one out there, right? Mm-hmm. A couple of people out there, so it was fantastic. But then I came back and watched the Vikings game. But yes, you freed me from it. There's no football game. There's not even a football game involved. It's just a Sunday get-together.
Yeah.
And you wear purple.
Yeah.
And you turn the television onto a particular station, and they're playing something that resembles, a football. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
The key is just to relax and be yourself.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Why even turn on the football game?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make out and party.
Make out, eat pizza.
Sure.
Hang on.
Cheese
Making
and
out,
crackers.
eat pizza, watch a thing. Maybe it's football, maybe it's not.
Veggies and ranch.
You could put on, thankfully in the modern era, we can always pull up old games of yore if that's better. If it's more suitable to a party, just, pull up something from the fall of '98 when running roughshod over people.
Yeah, do that. Right. Just toss it. See if anyone even notices.
Check this out. A woman in Utah was driving around in a car. She just bought a used car. And she noticed, speaking of people noticing, that everywhere she went, everybody got out of her way. Like, literally, this is not a joke. She was driving around in Salt Lake City in a black Dodge Charger she recently bought. And no matter what lane she was in, as she would enter traffic, people were just giving her a wide berth. And she was just completely, baffled by this and thought it was a very strange thing. Salt Lake City posted a photo last Wednesday. Somebody had reported her or someone had gotten the word to them. Here's the deal. The car that she bought was modified in a way she did not realize. In the front, in the dash, there were some fog lights that could flash in any color you might choose. and the previous owner had set them to flash red and blue back and forth. This woman was driving around for days in a car that looked like an unmarked police car, hitting those little lights in the front grille. She had no idea. So every time she would drive anywhere, anybody she pulled up behind would get the hell out of her way and assume they were about to be pulled over.
God, it's a dream come true.
She could have faced charges for impersonating an officer, but when she saw the photo, because the Salt Lake City posted a photo, says, anyone know who this is? Like, this car's out there. She turned herself in. She said, I feel terrible. I had no idea this was happening. Not at all like my brother. Doug, an upstanding member of a solid Kentucky community. He had a business for years. It's called Booth Fire and Safety. They did a great job. Fire and safety equipment, like a hood in a restaurant, maybe a fire extinguisher. That's the kind of place you'd go buy your safety equipment.
All right.
And along the way, for whatever reason, he had access to those kind of lights, the same things this woman had. And he drove a big SUV, and he could hit a button, and red and blues would just start flashing right out the front of his car.
Well, that's great.
And I thought that was really funny until I realized he was not accidentally using them. He'd be on the interstate, and he's late for a meeting, and he would just put them on.
Did he go through red lights?
Didn't have the siren, but he had those flashing reds and blues. And, boy, people got right out of the way, and he was doing that. And I said, you're going to get popped, and it's called impersonating a police officer. It's not cool.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I'll do it until they catch me. And by God, they never did. And he is now as I said, an upstanding member of the community, an elected civil servant, doing wonderful things for the community and no longer pretending that he has a right to get you out of his way when driving down the highway.
Nice. Wasn't one like one of your other troublemaker brothers that would actually get out? He wouldn't go to the window and ask for identification.
No, that didn't happen. This is the same brother who graduated from Western Kentucky University summa cum laude because I found a way to access the things that say summa cum laude, and I gave him a set. Both my brothers, Dave and Doug, they graduated from Western Kentucky together, and I worked in the on-campus bookstore, and that's where students came to get your cap and gown at the bookstore. And if you had those extra ribbons, those things they would put around your neck and a designation for either magna cum laude or summa cum laude, I for some reason, someone thought I was an appropriate person to hand those out as well. And as they stepped in to get their caps and gowns, I gave them both summa cum laude.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so there's this giant arena on campus, and they're graduating. They're like, the College of Arts and Sciences, please rise. And 600 students stand up. And they're 6'4" and 6'6", these two guys. And they stand up, and I was in earshot. I could hear people going, those guys, they're summa cum laude. And Doug played soccer. A lot of people knew him on campus. And it was like, Gorman, you don't have a 4.0. He's like, looks like I do. And they both graduated with honors. It was great.
Yeah, no kidding.
At no point did it dawn on me I could be, I don't know, in trouble for that. Hell. What the hell?
It's not like they put it on their resume, or did they?
I'm sure they probably had photos taken and serviced those somewhere to certain local news agencies. Who knows?
I love it.
The Gorman brothers really pulled a rabbit out of the hat with that one.
Yeah, they're always hanging out playing pool. Who knew that they were pulling off 4.0s? Must have studied all night.
Well, it's really, again, the lesson as always, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And if your little brother's the guy at the bookstore, you're gonna look pretty good up there.
That's a valuable life lesson.
Before we bring Robert Smith on, I do want to just fan the flames a little bit. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk guy, who's with NBC Sports, a football insider. He's been going on and on about, and he thinks that the Vikings are preparing, if not during this season, then after next season, to cut ties with JJ. They're gonna bundle him in an attempt to trade up to get a new quarterback next year, and Jefferson is the bait for a team that may have a better draft pick. His whole point is, without an elite quarterback, it doesn't matter who your receivers are. If Jordan Addison is as good as he looks like he's going to be, we can think about letting JJ go. If we let him go, maybe we get the top pick in the draft. Maybe we go get that kid from USC, or maybe we get, whoever, like a top quarterback from next year's draft.
Well, he's waiting on a contract right now. I don't know how far you can kick that can down the road.
Yeah, they were supposed to secure that extension before the game.
And the fact that they didn't is giving a lot of people thoughts that maybe they're thinking elsewhere, like thinking otherwise, I should say.
Well, something else they might want to think about is allow Kirk Cousins to be your quarterback for the rest of the season. You'll probably end up with a pretty decent draft pick by the end of it. Come on now. Listen, Kirk Cousins isn't the reason this team's going to be sloppy all season, if they are. I mean, it's pretty early, I guess, but...
listen, who would we be if we didn't overreact to week 1 results?
Absolutely.
Come on. That's the whole point of
you
this.
guys, I said it earlier, I fully support if he wants to be good. He just has to want it.
Right.
But when he decides he wants it, then I will support it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Mic drop.
What? Mike, okay, nothing like leaving a room completely confused and walking out the door.
I
declare your own mic drop.
I can do whatever I want.
You don't care if they win or not anyway.
I care a lot about things.
You want to make out with them, don't you?
Guys are not going to make out if the team's winning. If the team's losing, they're going to go, all right, I'll go make out with the blonde chick, I guess.
I just supposed to be yelling all. I don't know. I don't know. Kirk, come on.
Get it together, Kirk.
I believe in you. Someone out there believes in your ability to want to be good.
Wow, the ability to want to be good. That's such a.
You are ready for motherhood.
It's a straight up insult. Yeah. That reminds me, when I was playing high school sports, the cheerleaders used to do those chants where they'd just go, hustle, harder, hustle, hard. And I would be like, hey, what do you think I'm doing out here? I was always so offended by that. H-U-S-T-L-E, H-U-S-T-L-E, hustle blazers, hustle. I'd be like, I'm working my ass off here. Don't tell me to hustle harder.
I got in a fight with my own mom after a football game on the drive home. She said, well, I thought it was a good game. Oh, did you think losing? Was that fun for you?
Yeah.
Do you have a child at the other high school? Do you like a loser? You're right.
You pushed her down.
I did.
Man, I would love it if there was like if the Kirk Cousins show on local radio and you hear like, Kirk, one fan was letting you know she still believes in your ability to want to be good. That's the stuff of legends right there.
All right. Well, we're going to turn it over to the Vicon, a Vicon, not the Vicon, a Vicon, Robert Smith. We're going to break it down. And is there hope for the Vikings? We'll find out here at 9 o'clock from someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, September the 11th. That's Bad Company Rock and Roll Fantasy. The football season kicked off yesterday. Momentarily, Robert Smith will be joining us on the phone. Robert Smith, he of the Minnesota Vikings of days gone by. A local legend and a guy now calling games for Fox. He was actually in Atlanta for the Carolina-Atlanta game. Atlanta got a win with a quarterback whose name I've already forgotten in what was kind of an ugly contest. But, hey, for a team like the Falcons, a home win to kick off the season, it's always most welcome down there, I can assure you. Here, the Minnesota Vikings, our boys in the purple and gold, rough start to the game. If you take away the first quarter, you could look at the Vikings' performance and say, man, it could have been a lot worse. But the problem was it was a lot worse in the first quarter. The first 4 drives of the game, I'm sorry if I'm recapping a nightmare for everybody who is watching it, but you had a false start that killed the first drive. Then you had a Kirk Cousins fumble followed by a Kirk Cousins fumble. And then you had a 3-and-out. And next thing you know, Tampa Bay has just enough time to get a little confidence and feel like Baker Mayfield might be able to lead them to a victory, which he did. And the Vikings start the season 0-1. Is it more concerning that they lost a home game to the Tampa Bay Bucks, or the fact that they have to go to Philadelphia Thursday night to play the NFC reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles, the team who were a couple plays away from a Super Bowl win just 8 months ago?
Oh, man, that's scary.
That is pretty scary.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments on the Facebook page. First of all, there were some real stupid penalties. Of course, I don't know how someone made the comment, and I think might have been Tim on our Facebook page. How do you play football your entire life and line up offsides on a field goal attempt? Agreed. Just a lot of sloppy play yesterday. Was it because they didn't play a lot in the preseason? Well, you can make that argument, but, I follow another team that played a lot of their starters in the preseason, looked pretty sloppy. So offenses typically get started a little slow, but does this team have the components to, as people are saying, knock off the rust?
Yeah.
I don't know that they do, and we'll be real curious to see what Robert Smith thinks here. But the problem is they're just not going to get a chance to catch their breath because it is the NFL. There is parity, and they've got some really tough games coming up here in the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely something that it seems in recent history there's been a real a change of thought as to the significance of the preseason. And so, like you said, let's talk to someone who actually knows what he's talking about. Robert Smith is on the horn with us. Robert, I started the day by saying Vikings icon, and then I've shortened it. You're the Vicon. Does that work for you?
If that's what you want to use, man, yes, whatever you want to say. And you know what's kind of interesting? You've never asked me to do a regular show or anything until Michigan got good and Ohio State seems to be on the slide. I think that's the real reason that this has come about.
Well, if memory serves, now that's not true because years ago when I was doing sports talk, we made a bet, you and I, that the winner, that the Michigan Ohio State game, we said the loser, meaning you or me, has to sing the other team's fight song on the air, and I believe I did, or did you sing? I don't remember. One of us had to sing the other's fight song.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would be you.
And, yeah, it was. I was like, wait, there's words to the Ohio State fight song? Oh, crap, I had to learn it. It was pretty tough. So we'll wind up Ohio State, Michigan in November. But for right now, first things first. Let's talk about your day yesterday. You were with the Falcons Panthers game. How was it? How was the first game? How did it feel in the booth first time out for the season?
Well, it was the first time NFL. The week before, we called UTSA Houston, actually.
Right.
We did it. We did that one remotely, so we did it from LA, so we weren't actually at the stadium. But yeah, man, there's just nothing like the opening day, and it's only my second one,
right,
for the NFL. So being there for opening day is just incredible. The environment down there in Atlanta, the excitement around the team, and just all the changes that have been made, and then the opportunity to see Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. It was a great game to have week one, a divisional matchup like that with so many great storylines. But there are for all NFL teams. So
sure,
it was phenomenal.
Now, Robert, this will sound. This is probably a trite question, but. It's been 20 years roughly since you played, but opening day, you still have to feel, you can remember exactly what it felt like coming out of that locker. I mean, do you still get those butterflies? Not that you're thinking, oh, I could still do it or I wish I could, but it's Pavlovian. You've got to have a little bit more of a charge than the average guy watching that game.
Yeah, I can't compare it to anybody else, but yeah, I definitely. And I talked to Chris and some of the other folks on the broadcast team about that. There's no question about it. Like, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking because you read some of the comments and you hear the guys in the interviews and they're talking about what it's like, and especially for rookies, going into that first game, but really for anybody, because that even if you have played in the preseason, there's just something different about the regular season and the first game and everything actually counting. And so, yeah, I do definitely get charged up, and just, so blessed, 16 NFL games and we get one of them. So pretty damn cool.
Robert Smith is with us on the KQ Morning Show. So let's talk about that preseason, because we were just saying before you called in, everyone loves to knock either they played the starters too much or they didn't play them enough. And I think there's a different conventional wisdom these days than there used to be, which is more and more starters don't play much in the preseason. Do you think there's much to account for that, or does it really? Does one or two series in a preseason game really make that much of an effect when the regular season starts?
Yeah, I think it depends on the team and it depends on the situation. When a player, like an Aaron Rodgers, what's Aaron Rodgers going to get out of the preseason? Well, Robert Saleh thought that there was enough of a change and kind of getting used to it that he wanted him to at least get some snaps. He wanted the team to kind of get over it too. I think, we've got Aaron Rodgers in a game. This is what it's going to feel like. This is what it's going to sound like. This is what the cadence is going to be like. Then you have a guy like Andy Reid. You got the best player on the planet in Patrick Mahomes, but you still say, we want to kind of get him out there, and clearly they needed it. We wanted to get some of the timing with those, with that new complement of wide receivers, and I think, it just depends on the team, the exact situation, especially when there's a new coach or somebody new at the quarterback position. You want to kind of get those reps in there, but sometimes if a quarterback's been around a long time, like Kirk, and doesn't feel that that he really needs it, a coach like Kevin O'Connell is just going to say, okay, well, I guess we just won't have you do it then.
Right.
But it's easy to argue from the results too, right? Like you can say, if it doesn't go well, then they should have played, and if it does go well, or if somebody gets hurt in the preseason, it's like, well, we should never play in the preseason.
Well, let's talk the Vikings fans off the edge a little bit here. I mean, Cousins, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's that looks good. The pick and then the 2 lost fumbles, one of which one of his own linemen ran into him. So would you chalk that up basically to first game rust? They seem to shoot themselves in the foot, generally speaking, throughout the game yesterday offensively.
Yeah, and going through it drive by drive, it was just so frustrating. Even on the first drive, it was really a bad block early in a series, and you never know when these plays are going to happen. That's the great part, is the frustrating part about football, is you never know which one of those plays is going to be the one that ends up costing you the game, because a number of them can cost you in a game, especially when you lose by 3 points. But it was a bad block by Madison that allowed pressure on Kirk Cousins, and you end up in a third and long, end up not converting. You have the fumble, with the Ed Ingram and that exchange, and is that rust? I heard Matt Ryan, who I thought did an unbelievable job, by the way. It was a great broadcast. Hear him talking about Kirk Cousins, he should have had that ball pulled in a little tighter as he's pulling away from center. Is that something that, would have changed that one? Then there's the fumble sack. They lose the ball. Defense holds to 3. Just all those things. To me, it was one of the situations where you definitely should have won the game, but you have to give credit where credit is due too. I mean, Baker Mayfield made some unbelievable plays. There was a one where Whitley, I didn't even know about until the game. Whitley is like, he has a free shot on Baker, and I don't even know what Baker was looking at the beginning of the play. It's crazy, but he somehow ducks under him and is able to escape and make a play. So he made some plays in the second half. You got to again give credit where credit is due, but just minor things that the Vikings could have cleaned up. But it's going to be a real problem on the interior of that line, especially with Bradbury hurt and Ingram continuing to struggle. I just wonder if they're going to make some moves here, bring somebody in. And I know everybody was talking about Dalton Reisner, who had been with the Broncos, maybe a bit too expensive, but that might be a move that you want to make, because quarterbacks can't afford to have the middle of their protection always be a problem. And it seems, especially with Bradbury now injured, hopefully he'll be back, but with Ingram, it's just, I think they need to do something to shore up in the middle.
Well, Robert, let's take it on the other side of the ball. New defensive coordinator, whole new scheme. Some things were real exciting about that yesterday. It looks like maybe we don't have the coverage in some of the spots, maybe out in the corners, to put those guys on an island that we need. But what did you see from Flores and that defense yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting at the beginning, and he did so much changing up looks, and you present a balanced look, and you present the appearance of pressure, and you pull out into coverage. Sometimes you bring it. It's just that uncertainty, and really the goal is to slow down the processing of the quarterback. Ultimately, a quarterback just taking just that extra tick longer longer to figure things out, especially if you've changed something up on the back end that they don't realize. That just speeds up the clock in their head, but it also forces them into some errors. And I thought they played pretty well for the most part. I think Harrison's age, and he's already said it. He talked about being a step slower. That really showed on that touchdown to Mike Evans. And Baker did an unbelievable job on that one. Watching the replay, I mean, Baker holds Harrison with his eyes in the middle of the field, and when he decides to pull the trigger, Harrison just doesn't have the speed to recover on some of those things, and that's something where, especially at the safety position, that they say that depth is leverage and leverage is power, and especially as you get older, you have to be able to get your depth when you feel that you're going to be threatened up over the top like that, and he didn't do that early in the play. So, I guess it's good to have some of those things to react to, especially for Brian Flores and as a defensive coordinator for the first year, because you see how guys react in certain situations, and you find out much better kind of what limitations you have and what calls are going to be best for the personnel that you have.
Robert Smith with us on the KQ Morning Show. All right, let's look ahead. 3 days to get ready to go into Philadelphia. Not a great place for anybody these days. So it's, again, still early in the season. It's not like, Philly, they won a game they easily could have let slip through their hands. They're hardly perfect. How do you feel? How does the team feel right now? You've been in those locker rooms. They're going to get on that plane. They're going to go to the reigning NFC champs. What's the mindset? I mean, it's not just business as usual. 0-2 is not a good way to start a season.
Yeah, no question about it. And, but you look at last year's game, kind of got embarrassed in that second week. And, you can have all the motivation you want. If you don't have the personnel to execute the game plan or to be able to hold up, then, all that rah-rah talk really doesn't help. So I think especially on the offensive line, they've got to do something. They got to do something in that middle. And I haven't seen the news on Bradbury's health. But again, with Ingram, great guy. I think he means well, but he's just not holding up there at right guard. So I think that they need to make some kind of move on the interior, especially against that Eagles front. To even losing Hargrave and some of those guys. Sue's not back, at least yet. Still too early. That they still have the ability to attack, especially in the middle, and it's just that kind of pressure. Every quarterback struggles against that, and it just opens up so many things that you can do with edge rushers and the rest of your defense if you can be pretty sure that you're going to be able to generate that interior pressure. So to me, that's the biggest issue going into this one. And, Baker Mayfield escaped and made some plays. We know Jalen Hurts has that same type of ability. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be incumbent on Brian Flores to come up with a really secure plan. When you attack a guy like Jalen Hurts, you just have to be very disciplined and very careful about kind of how you do it. It's not just all out, to the wall. You got to be really smart and disciplined and in your rush lanes and anticipate where he may escape.
Robert Smith, where are you this weekend? What's your game coming up? We lose you? I think we lost him.
Well, shoot.
Poor Robert.
He didn't want to tell us about his upcoming
Maybe
game.
he's looking it up on his phone right now. Where am I this weekend?
Guess not. All right, well, okay, so I don't know what happened.
He's back.
Oh, you with us, Robert?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened there. I just heard a loud static noise. You might have had me on automatic timing. Like, okay, this answer's wrong. We cut him off.
No, I asked what game. Where are you headed next weekend? What's your next game?
Yeah, so we have the Colts at the Texans this week.
Oh, an old AFC South classic. All right.
Yeah,
well,
I'm excited, man. We got the number 1 overall pick last week, and now we get the number 2 and the number 4 pick.
Yeah.
This week. So it's really fun, those storylines and early division matchups like that.
Sure.
They're just so important.
Well, man, I appreciate the call, and I look forward to catching up with you next week after we'll see what happens this next weekend. All the best, brother. Thanks.
All right, you got it, my man.
See ya. We just talked with Robert Smith, Viking great. He's going to be joining us weekly on the KQ Morning Show every Monday. We will recap the weekend in football, specifically the Vikings, but he's calling other games, and so we'll get his thoughts on a wide variety of NFL topics throughout the season. That's kind of cool. I really have always looked forward to speaking with Robert, and this season will be no different.
Yeah.
He's a big shot.
Oh, yeah.
He is a big shot, and you don't have to be a Robert Smith, I guess, to see the glaring issue with this football team, and that's the offensive line. I was just on our KQ Facebook page, racking up a lot of comments on it. Of course, a sloppy football game. A lot of people are commenting on that, but almost to a post. Oh, that offensive line.
Yeah.
So needs a bunch of work. It's too bad one game into the season. I mean, this should have been addressed, for crying out loud. We were talking about it last year.
Did I just have to go off subject here real quick? The Seahawks-Rams game. Did you guys see Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith was mic'd for the game?
Yeah.
And he drops back into the pocket, and Aaron Donald of the Rams breaks through and is steamrolling towards him. And as Geno Smith just gets rid of the ball, like he's literally looking in the pocket, he's looking left, looking right, and then right up the middle comes Aaron Donald, and he goes, "Oh my God!" as he throws the ball away. I gotta find that tweet and I gotta share it with you guys. It's incredible, and he's not embarrassed about it at all. It's like Aaron Donald was about to kill me. Of course, I said, "Oh my God!" I can't believe that's all he said.
That's great.
But it is the funniest thing I've seen in a while. Back to Robert Smith. I was just reminded. I just told Tony this when Robert was. We met in the early 90s. The Black Crowes played First Avenue in 94, and he came to the show, and that's when we all met. And we were just buddies ever since. He came to a lot of gigs over the years, and we would always go right in on the, what about this guy? And who's this guy? Is this guy really good? And, he'd give us the dirt or whatever. Always great. And we were talking once about, remember the old fullback Leroy Horde from Michigan?
Oh, yeah.
Or Leroy Horde, as it was. And Robert said, because Robert had that record, he might still have it, which is his average length of a touchdown run is the longest in NFL history. But, he was not a red zone guy. He's a guy that would, pitch it to him at the 23, and he's going to score a touchdown. Yeah. And I said, why don't they give you the ball in the red zone? And he goes, we got Horde, man. You give that ball to Leroy when you just need a few yards. And he said, in fact, and this was my favorite line of an athlete probably ever. He said, Leroy Horde always used to say to the coach, if you need a yard, I'm going to get you 3. And if you need 5 yards, I'm going to get you 3.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Good for 3.
Always love that. On the KQ Morning Show this morning, we did spend a little bit of time discussing the fact that it is obviously September 11th.
Oh, sorry.
That's
audio was up.
Right.
I found the Geno Smith audio. Inappropriate time.
Oh, no, please. I can. We need to let's go right back for a minute. Give me that Geno audio.
Didn't know I had the mic up there, or I mean the
No, lay it on me. It's great.
Oh, my God.
It's respect.
Did he get nailed right after that?
No. He got rid of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that ball hit the turf before God finished.
Yeah, it's just
gun it to the turf.
Of all the people on the planet to not want to see charging towards you, Aaron Donald. We talked a little bit about 9/11. I'm sure everybody's going to be thinking about it throughout the whole day, if not for the rest of the week, whatever it is. And obviously, just want to say for everybody's experiences, there's such a clarity to that one memory. Everybody's story of that day is as valid as anybody else's. Everybody remembers so much about that day. So if you're just joining us now, we did discuss. We certainly, it's not something we want to overlook. We don't spend a whole lot of time on the 22nd anniversary because that's really not what this show's about necessarily full time. But make no mistake, for anybody, for all of us, whatever we're thinking about, whatever we're feeling, we're right there with you. It was a day that is eternally etched in everybody's heart and in everybody's mind. And so for anybody who's still struggling with 9/11 and whatever loss you experienced or whatever you experienced, we're certainly with you on that.
Yeah, amen. Thank you.
How about we take a look back on this day, September 11th, 1985, Pete Rose passed Ty Cobb to become the all-time hits leader in Major League Baseball. If you had told anybody on planet Earth in 1985, Pete Rose will not be a Hall of Famer, they would have said, well, yeah, he's kind of a jerk. I can see it. He's going to do something. He's going to do something, and he certainly did. He started betting on his own team. If you walk into any Major League dugout, this has been the case since the Black Sox scandal of 1919. Any locker room, any dugout, it says, it is written on the wall, gambling is prohibited. There's the specific language I don't have in front of me, but it is such a tenet of Major League Baseball. For everyone who goes, why don't they just let him in? It's like, man, the guy read on the wall of every locker room he ever entered that you were not allowed to gamble on baseball, and he did it vociferously for years. That's why.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.